Welcome back to Story from the Core. You just did a whole bunch of work identifying your conflicts. How was that? Where did it take you? How was that 7 layer dip thing, right? And why do I care? And what's that about? And where does that take you? And what next? And we remember that whole idea of going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until you couldn't go any deeper at all. Like that's it. There's nothing beyond here. That's the bottom of that 7 layer dip, right? And then we turn it around and we look at what does that say about my beliefs, right? What does that say about my experiences? Not to say that your book has to be all about you and your voice and your personal story. Some of you did a lot of writing about personal stuff that may never ever ever show up in your book or may never ever ever show up on the stage. But the essence, that impulse, that like the roots of where your message is coming from can now be felt in your book, in your talks, in your online presence. You have just what I call shaken hands, like you just shook hands with the roots of your story that's here. So congratulations. Okay, so what do you think we do with all this conflict? What do you think we do with all these roots? Well, we're going to move into putting the bits and pieces of your keynote together, and we're going to look at that through a writing experience, because the thing about story is it's always the same format. I want you to get that. The way that you write an essay is the same way you write a one-pager, is the same way that you do a speech, is the same way you put your book together. It's always the same story arc. Now, it's true that you can jumble them up, which I'll get into that later. Just to give you an example of that, Quentin Tarantino, I love his movies. I actually don't really love his stuff. It's too violent for me. But what I love about his approach is he has all the pieces of story in there, but he just like rolls them all over the place. Or I just watched The Girl on the Train a couple of nights ago, and mysteries and thrillers are great stories to watch because they do have all of these 5 key components that are in a one-pager, that are in an essay, that are in a book, that are in a movie. They're all the same parts, but that movie jumbled them all around. So mysteries and thrillers are kind of good for that. I don't want to confuse you. I just want you to know that if you find that as you're writing or as you're speaking that you notice that you don't seem to follow the formula, that's fine. As long as you know what the formula is, you just check off the boxes, right? It's like, did I have that middle? Did I have a compelling how in there? Did I offer did I offer my profound what? Is that there? Did I have an impact statement? All of that kind of stuff. I'm going to go into that today. But before we can go into all of those parts, the number one thing that you need to know, because there are all these moving parts in any story, is you have to know where to plant your flag. This is a concept that came to me when I first started story coaching, and one of my mentors, I was talking to him, and I'm like, I'm in these coaching calls, and sometimes I can get really easily swept up in what's happening with the person because we're in a deep process. And sometimes I can feel, bits and pieces of my expertise in maybe other arenas, but they might apply here. And can I use them? And should I use them? But because sometimes I would bump up against this sort of therapist thing, but I'm not a therapist. Sometimes I would bump up against these really deeply soulful conversations, but I don't read Akashic record stuff, and I would bump up into these different areas that I had some skills in, and I even had a bit of a voice in. So if you tie this back into speaking from the stage or writing a book, you have expertise in lots of different peripheral areas, right? And it's very easy to lose the core of your message by getting distracted by these other little pieces that you kind of know some things about and you feel inspired to share. Those are like threads, okay? This was his response to me. He's like, Tina, you need to remember where you plant your flag and always focus there. So with any client you're working with, go towards the flag. Same thing is true when you're writing this big book, or you are creating this huge message from the stage. You've got these 5 different parts that you're going to speak life into, but you always want to guide your ship, right? I think of a big steamship and the point of the ship moving through the water. The water is deep. The weather can be going crazy, but you're guiding this ship through the water. You are planting your flag and you are moving that direction. So, planting your flag is about remembering what is the impact that this book is going to make. And I have a couple of questions for you that I'm going to throw in here for you to write about. The first one I use all the time is, when someone throws your book down on the table after they finished it, what are they saying? Be really honest. They throw the book down, they're like, oh my gosh, I know what to do, and now I've got to go and get on stage. Or they throw the book down and they're like, oh my gosh, are we really that dumb? Really? I can't believe it. I'm laughing at myself that we really do that. Wow, I'm never going to do that again. Or are they throwing it down and they're going, oh, I finally know where home is? What is the thought that they think when they throw the book down? Okay. Oh, I'm so glad I read this book. I now know how to swim and bake cakes at the same time. I'm being ridiculous, but what do they say when they throw the book down? What do they say about you when they throw the book down? This is about your own impact. You have a voice here. Some of you lead from the front, some of you lead from the side, some of you lead from the back. I don't know which one is you. The examples I use are Oprah leads from the front, Mandela leads from the back, and Obama leads from the side. Where do you lead from? That's about your voice. When they throw the book down, what do they say about you? Do they say, oh my gosh, she's the best, I need to follow her? Do they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just heard that. I will hear that person in my head my whole life. Are they saying, wow, I just met a new friend that I'm going to talk to all the time in my head? Do you get it? That's about your personal voice impact. Are you leading from the front in this book? Is that the risk you're taking? Are you leading from the back, whispers in their head? Are you leading from the side where they feel like they've just, have their best friend is with them? I think Liz Gilbert leads from the side. Her writing style is very much, and all of her messages come from that, I've got a new best friend, right? Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. So where are we planting our flag, right? So we're guiding our ship through the water. And when people put your book down, what's the impact that they're left with? And what is it what's their relationship with you? Okay, that's video number 1. See you soon. I've got some writing prompts. Go have some fun.